Hello, welcome to Sean Builds a Lisp. My name is Sean, and I am building a Lisp. Last time we got our read tables all set up so that we can call read and read out all of the basic primitives. We still have a couple of reader functions left to write, and then we started to basically get our macro expander a little more fleshed out. So what I'd like to do today is to continue fleshing out that expand function and add a quote form. So let's jump into expand.js. And then we're also going to open up the test file for that. Okay. So I think what we'll do is we're looking at array expression. All right, so come over here. Let's just describe quote. Okay, so I'm going to start by simply making a syntax, and what we'll do here is I'm going to make a syntax of array, an array where the first syntax object is our quote symbol. And then the second element of the array, I'm going to make this a number. Yeah. Let's just make it the number 1. All right, so then second parameter to our describe syntax is going to be our syntax object. Okay, so basically, what we expect this to return is the original syntax object. So what I'm going to actually do is pull this out. I'm going to pull out the number here. Oops. And we'll replace that. And the reason I'm pulling out the number here is that what we expect quote to do is essentially to stop the expansion. And by stopping the expansion, the result of expanding should be the actual syntax object that we are quoting. So now what do we do here? We will expand syntax env to equal number. Actually, we want this to be directly equal. All right, so if we run this, find where, there we go, test current. We should expect this to fail. Maybe we didn't expect it to crash. Oh, you know what? We didn't wrap it in an it function, so Mocha's not giving us nice messages. Stops expansion. Oh, I see. All right, let's try that again. Okay, there we go. So you can see we haven't handled the quote. So what we're getting is we're compiling this into a call expression. So basically what we need to do here is I'm just going to check to, so what we'll do is we'll just check to see if first.name is equal to quote. This probably won't be the final solution, but it'll work for now. So simply, we will just simply return syntax.elements 1. And that works. Okay. So what we'll also need is to have a syntax quote. For a while I was hoping I would not have to have both quote and syntax quote, but basically I'm just going to type out some example Lisp or example functions that I would like this to do. So basically, if I define a macro function, it would take args and the env, and let's say that we want to return some quoted form like so. Ignore the missing highlight, the broken highlighting, because this isn't Lisp, this is a JavaScript file. But basically, if we were to write a function, a macro function like this, when this quote, as we've just written it, expands, essentially this will compile to the following JavaScript. And this would be function args env return, say, this would be, and then this would be essentially so this would be like type. Let's simplify this so that we can. All right, let's just say that we're going to log foo so that I don't have to write a nested syntax. All right, so this would return type symbol literal value symbol dot for log. So this isn't exactly what it would return, but it's close. Whoops. There we go. We're not going to format. Let me just comment that out. And let's just, sorry. Just getting the syntax errors out of there so that I can pretty print this. And this would be a string literal. And the value would just be log. So you can see that by doing this, we have essentially made our all right, let me start from the beginning. So this would parse as this inner S expression would parse as an array expression, Babel syntax, Babel AST object. And by quoting it, we are essentially compiling that down to the array would get compiled. And then what's inside would actually also get compiled. So this would actually end up being symbol dot for log. And I think this would probably just compile down to a literal string. So essentially, once this macro gets run, this is the object that we're going to receive. But what if we since we are writing a macro, we actually want to return syntax objects from the macro. So if we, so what we'll need is a SyntaxQuote instead. So same function. So what we'll do instead is return hashtag quote log foo. And so basically what we want this syntax quote to do is to compile to function foo args, and this will return syntax of syntax. And I'm skipping some of the other parameters that we have. Syntax, this would be, this is not correct either. This should be a string. And this would be a symbol.for. So these are the kind of two different things that we would want to compile down to. So let's write that. Let's turn this into a switch. So this will be case quote in case syntax. I'm just going to put a placeholder there, and then the default. I'll do this. Where did these come from? All right, so looks like we have a syntax error. I think we're missing a bracket there. Okay, so it's a quote if it's a syntax quote, and otherwise. And so what we want to do here is okay, so at this point we've got syntax objects. So what I'm gonna do here is just up here, I'm gonna write a function syntax quote. And I think all we need to do here is have syntax. All right, so basically what we're gonna do here is just compile these syntax objects into object expressions for the Babel compiler. So what do we want this to look like? If all right, sorry, I'm not sure how I actually want this function to behave. Okay, so let's start with the test. Where's this? Why is that? Prettier got an update. I didn't expect that. Okay, so let's describe syntax quote. Oops. Okay, so we will, let's just do a similar thing here. We'll just copy paste this and modify it from there. Okay, so we want this to be syntax quote. And so For now, I'm just going to do the same thing as quotes, just so that I can run this, and I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. All right, where's our syntax error? Looking for red squigglies. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, rerun. Don't need that breakpoint. No, what? Oh. Whoa. I need a new mouse. Okay, I'm just going to pull this out here so that that's defined in both places. Okay, so let's take a look. So syntax.elements1. All right, so I think basically what we want to do here is basically walk the keys and values and basically just promote them. Pull them out into an object expression or a string expression. So that it will compile in such a manner. All right, so we can essentially switch on the type of syntax. And if, of course, we always have to check the array first because an array is type object. If syntax is an array, then we'll return array expression elements, and so this will be syntax.map. Just call it arg, and we will just call SyntaxQuote on arg. All right, so if it's an object, then we'll return object dot what is it, entries, and we'll map that callback function key value. Actually, hold on. Let's what we want to do is import. Oh, we need array expression also. Const. Oh no, it's down here. All right. So what we want here is we want to pull in array expression and object expression. String literal. Numeric literal. Boolean literal. Null literal. And ooh. I guess that would just be, I guess undefined as a identifier. All right, I'm gonna pop over to AST Explorer and just see what undefined compiles to in Babel. Okay, it's an identifier, so that's great. Okay, so where are we here? Okay, so type of syntax, object. All right, syntax equals null. Then we'll return null literal. Otherwise, we'll return object expression, and properties are going to be, all right, so we're going to map this, and probably need a constructor for the property also, our builder. Right, so, okay, so let's see, property. All right, where are we here? So we'll create an object property with the key. Let's just take a look at what this should expect to, what we should expect to find. That's right. Oh, right. Okay. Object expression, properties. We have one object property. Okay, so key is an identifier. String literal. Okay. It's identifier key, and the value will be syntax quote, and what are we passing in? Value. Oops. So parentheses. Maybe we have one too many parentheses now. Okay. Still have a syntax error. Oh, right here. Okay. And close that. All right, so basically for objects, we'll just loop over the keys and values, and do that. Did we import this? Yes, we did. Okay, great. Oops. Okay, what else do we have to handle? All right, so we'll have case. So if we have a string, then we'll return string literal. And it's just this string. All right, case number, return number literal. Oops, numeric literal. Case boolean, return boolean literal. And so all I'm doing is going down the cases and creating a Babel literal objects for each of the types. Undefined, this is an identifier. Okay. And then case symbol. This will want to return a call expression. Callee will be a member expression where the object is identifier symbol, and the property is identifier for. Closes our member expression, and then, oops, right here. Arguments will be symbol dot key for syntax. So basically just kind of lifting this up so that the syntax object itself gets compiled rather than what it represents. So basically it's the difference between quote and syntax quote is going to be, are you like, at what stage of the compiler are you targeting? Are you targeting this thing to be compiled in the current context, or are you targeting it to be compiled in the calling context? All right, so I am going to actually attach that here. So we will call syntax quote on these guys. And I'm just going to run this and watch it fail. Hmm, 46. That's interesting. Of course not. Okay, so I need to pass the actual object to the entries function. It's not magic, it turns out. Great. Okay, so what do we get here? Okay, that looks right. And so basically what we're doing is basically promoting this to something that Babel will compile into the object. So let's fill this out. All right, so we expect this to be type of numeric literal, actually. Yeah, let's just keep going. And the value will be 1. All right, let's run that again and see if that's what we get. Oh no. Okay, that's right. All right, so are we importing types here? All right, let's do numeric, literal, and object expression. All right, well, heck, we should probably write tests for all of these things. All right, so what we're doing is object expression properties will be object property. Where am I? I need to also grab that. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab all of these. Cool. Let's just put those there, and identifier be type, and string literal, numeric literal. That's our object property, and then we'll have another object property for the value. Identifier value. And what is this? This is going to be just the number. Okay, we have a syntax error someplace. Oh, yes, indeedy. And that. And do we still? All right, come on, format. It should actually be deep equal though. Oh, what's going on here? Oh. All right, so we want that to deep equal. Let's run it. We failed. What happened? Number expression, really? Okay. Thought that I didn't delete that one, but I guess I did. One more time. Identifier. Whatever happened to my ESLint? Stop this. I think that maybe I disabled it. Yeah, I think I was trying to debug. All right, just reload that real fast. Okay, VS Code catch up. Okay. And still, I guess it's booting up my extensions now. This should be a numeric literal for value 1. There's ESLint to the rescue. All right. We just need to tell it about me attaching that to the global. Great. Expands to Babel object expression. Okay, I'm going to go find my ESLint file here. ESLint, and tell it about all my globals so that I can get rid of those. Okay, so we've got Scribe module. All right, oops. Scribe input. And I am just doing some bookkeeping here. Come on there. Okay. Here we go. We should go ahead and write tests for all of these. All right. All right. I'm gonna do this numeric literal 1, and then we can move this back to the local quote function where we think it should be. Okay. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do this stuff. Okay. Here we will want to do string literal, and let's just do foo as usual. And all right, let's just run it. Let's look. Yep, okay. That is an error in the test, not the code, so we're good. Okay, so so far we've tested object null, or sorry, object string number. Let's grab Boolean. And let's do another one for false. Just completeness here. You know what? I just did the same mistake I did last time. I didn't change the type. Yeah, our pretty printer is failing us. All right. Let's see. Print.js. Okay. Boolean literal. One moment. Just check that. Okay. Boolean literal. And we have null literal. Actually, you know what? We should just yeah, let's just stick with that. Okay. I'm not gonna write tests for that yet. Let's just keep going. Okay, so what do we have here? So now we've got string number, Boolean, symbol. All right. Just syntax, and we'll do symbol for foo. Symbol for foo. Oh yes, that's right. Okay, so it seems we didn't import member expression over here. I guess I should have realized that. Okay, so we've got member expression, and this is actually, we need to do, this is not. All right, so this will actually be member, this will be call expression, because we need to compile this down into something that will build a symbol. Call expression, and this will be member expression. This will be identifier. The object is identifier for symbol. And then the key is identifier for. Cool. And then that'll close our member expression, and our argument is going to be a string literal foo. And do we have a, okay, I think we need to, yeah, let's do that. Where are we here? Expand. Okay, let's see here. Yeah. This should be string literal. This will be symbol dot key for syntax, and we need to close out parentheses. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so the other thing I just realized I wanted to do is I want to change symbol literal. I previously had a field named name, but that is not what I want. I keep messing this up. Okay, so that's value. And what we need to do is go find all the places that we did that. I think it's just in syntax.js. Oh, I just broke a bunch of stuff. Symbol. Unfind is not a symbol. Oh, look at that. Okay, I broke it. I broke it. Okay. Value. 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 I'm just gonna change this to value. Okay. Still no dice. Okay. What do we have here? Whoa. Oh, where is this? Oh, print. Print.js. Syntax dot value. Oh, you know what? I think I changed that in way too many places. Because when we expand a symbol literal, we will get an identifier, so that will have the name key instead of the value key. So this is okay. Cool. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run this with a breakpoint just so that you can see kind of what's going on. Do I have... Okay, so let's just run. Okay, so down here in the debugger, let's just print out syntax. So syntax dot elements 1, which is the thing. So what we have here is object type symbol literal. When we do SyntaxQuote, so basically if we were to quote this, what we actually want, we should write a test for that. But what we want to get compiled into JavaScript is symbol.for when we do SyntaxQuote, what we want to get compiled into the JavaScript is literally the object. So something like this. So what we'll do here is call expand syntax and just in the REPL. You can see we get our object expression. And now I'm going to require Babel generator default, and I'm gonna call that with my expanded syntax. And let's see, what does it spit out? So you can see the code is now, the code that will get compiled is the actual object, the syntax object itself. And so basically what this means is that in some way, shape, or form, we need to keep our syntax objects serializable through this function. So I just mentioned that all right, so what's our syntax? All right, so syntax. What I'm thinking about is that this might not work correctly for quote. Let's see. Well, maybe it will. I suppose it will. Okay, so now we have quote and we have SyntaxQuote. And that is pretty fun. Let's commit that. Okay, so what else do we need here? So we could go one of two ways. We could start writing the actual compile function. You think there's an error someplace? Let's look. No literal. Oh. Let's write a test for null. We missed null literal. Let's do that. So this guy will be null literal. This will be null literal, and we can just delete that. Let's just make sure we're still. Bummer, that's an error. Oh, this is wait, where are we here? No literal does not take any arguments, so So Battle's complaining about that. Cool. Okay, so 2 ways we could go now. We could start fleshing out our env, which right now I just have a someplace. All right, so right now I just have a little dummy env with two keys in it for macro functions. We could flesh this out and really get into the nitty-gritties of how we're going to resolve our macros, or we could jump into the actual code gen. I think I'm going to opt for jumping into the code gen. So let's make a new project compiler, and C node modules, blisp compiler, and npm init. Okay. And jump back. Okay, so this is going to be really, really simple. So generate equals require at Babel generator dot default. And module dot exports equals function compile. This will take an AST. That's syntax. What? And we will simply call return generate, and this will be syntax. It's almost silly. Yeah, that's pretty simple. I'm not even going to test that. Okay. Okay, well, let's jump into our expand function after all. Okay, actually, let's commit what we've got. Actually, you know what? I'm realizing, let's just open up our files again. I'm realizing that we didn't actually test SyntaxQuote on an array, so we should also do that. Okay, so let's just Okay. So we'll essentially wrap this in an array expression. Okay, second element will simply be another symbol literal for bar. All right, I just committed, so git reset head. Ah, shoot, I wanted, wait, what? Oh. Git reset soft head tilde 1. There we go. Okay, what I actually wanted to do was run my test. Whoa, what just happened here? Oh yes, that's right. Okay, this is meta. Okay, so this will be an object expression where we have object dot property, object property, and this will be identifier type, and this will be string literal array expression. And then this will be wrapped in array expression. So jump here, and then we close that in that array. Super meta. This needs to be wrapped in object property. What's the key? The key is identifier elements. Okay, and then we need to jump here and close that. Whew. Identifier. Yep, there it is. ESLint is telling me I am wrong, and I am ignoring it. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm just looking at the diff. What is, it's saying that expand has changed some place. Oh no, it's expand.spec. Cool. And array. Array syntax quote. Array expression syntax quote and a test. Cool. Let's push that up. Alrighty, so for our env, how do we do this? Right now we are essentially using string keys in our env, and we're expanding our symbols. From there. Okay, so we definitely want to just call expand on the first element. Check to see if it's an identifier. We do resolved, and then we call that. So basically, how do we add a macro from the file? Maybe we should do that first. Sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling and thinking. How do we want to do this? Maybe we should just go ahead and start writing the core forms, and then we can deal with our env from there. I think that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna make, not in reader, I'm gonna make a new module. I'm just gonna call this ES5. Let's try it. Let's just go crazy. Let's see what we can do. So this will be, so we're just going to start with a very simple function macro. So module dot exports equals function. I'm just going to call that fn, and it will take a syntax form, and then it will take an environment. So what would this look like? We will want SyntaxQuote, won't we? Let's see, where would we put this? Do SyntaxQuote. Actually, do we want SyntaxQuote? Okay, so what do we have here? So we want this to look like function, maybe foo, and then we have an argument, and then we have a body. Let's just say that we'll just explicitly say block, and it'll return foo, whatever. Let's just return bar. Okay, so basically, we're just going to call out to the Babel types. Function. Let's see, function expression. This will be, we are requiring, sorry, my brain is kind of, okay, so we're going to grab function expression from that. So if syntax.elements, okay, so we want to look at the first argument and basically determine, is it an identifier? So we could check if it's a symbol, we could just expand it and check if it's an identifier. I think that's what I'm gonna do, and it might not actually work. All right, so const first equals expand, and we need to grab expand. Const expand equals require at blisp slash expander slash expand. Okay, so we will expand syntax dot elements and first one. So if first is identifier, okay, so basically at this point I'm just going to return this as always as a function expression, I believe. And then I think it's somebody else's job to determine if it should be a function declaration. So we'll return function expression, and identifier will be the first one. And then the params will be dot elements. You know what? We should probably do something better. I'm just going to keep going and see if we can do something at all. All right, so syntax elements 2 dot elements dot map, and this will be param, and so what we'll do is expand param env. Okay, and then we have our body, and so on this I am just going to expand syntax dot elements, and this will be 1 2 3, and I need a comma. Okay, so I'm gonna take this comment. Okay, so basically we're building up a function expression here. Okay, if it's not an identifier, then we have an anonymous function. So we will return function expression with this guy as undefined. Syntax elements are shifted. Okay. Shall we write some tests then? Okay, we want tests on the right. All right, so let's describe module. blisp slash es5 slash function. Okay. Let's describe call function. Let's see, shall we call read or just build the syntax by hand? I'm not sure what I want the test to look like, so let's just say function foo bar block turn bar and close. All right, so I'm realizing we'll also need to write our block. Module.exports equals function block, and we'll get args and an env, and very basic form is so we're going to grab block statement constructor function or builder function from Babel. So we'll just call block statement and body args.slice 1 dot map, and arg we'll call expand with env, arg comma env. So let's write a test function for that. Module blisp slash es5 slash block Scribe block foo. Alright, let's grab syntax lisp slash I'll just do syntax. Alright, so it expands to a block statement. Okay, so what we want is simple dot for, you know what? This is really frustrating. I'm going to go change my syntax function. I really hate typing trivia every single time. So now we need to go update that every single place that we've used it. Finish that. Alright, this is totally broken. Getting slightly distracted here, but okay, so that's a base built-in guy. We need to, what happened? Okay, let's grab expect. All right, so I'm just filling this out, even though I think it won't actually work. Scribe module, okay, we're getting there. So what do we expect? We expect this to equal const, let's say block statement And we'll want call expression, and we will want identifier. Babel types. Alright, symbol for foo. This will be a block statement. Ooh, that's interesting. This should probably actually be an expression statement inside. Pretty sure. So this will be expression statement of call expression, where the first one is identifier foo, and no arguments. All right, let's jump into our package.json and point our current at. I'm just going to do ES5/***/**. All right, let's see here. So basically, I'm going to run all the tests in my ES5 directory. That's a little surprising. All right, so I think we should be able to do maybe this. Oh, you know what? I didn't actually call this .spec. Okay, eventually I can .spec, and then that's not going to compile, so let's just not run. Let's not grab that one. Okay. All right, block.js, what do we have here? args.elements, that's slice one. All right, so if we recall, args will be block ... Okay. This is block. We need to call this. Oh, we need an env. Okay, doke. Not sure how I want to do this. I'm gonna put index.js and just set up an env. Global.env equals, let's just do test env, and let's just make it an empty object. All right, so, and this will actually be syntax. We'll have an array where we have syntax symbol. You know what? This is quite a pain in the butt. Whatever. I'm just gonna grab read from. Just gonna grab my read function and utilize that, and we'll see if I live to regret the decision. That way we can just. Whoops. Okay, we're calling block. Oh my. Okay, so this will be, let's see, block with foo. Okay, let's see what happened here. go. In parenthesis here. No, we don't need that. All right. Cool. What happened? Cannot read property slice of undefined. Okay, let's grab our launch JSON and tell it a similar thing. All right, so let's just set this to star and yes, 5. All right. Wait a second. Are you kidding? Why is that a string? Oh my goodness, that's weird. Read block. Okay, this one's a little. Why is my read function not working? All right, I'm just going to put a breakpoint here, rerun, and step into that. Okay, let's step in. All right, so what do we have here? Read table. That looks right. Step into that. Not the constructor. Char. Yep. Yep. Okay. Just make sure read table has that. Read table char. Yep. All right. And if we do read table char, and we call it with stream char, we'll get out an array. Oh, my syntax function. That's why. Okay, cool. Because trivia comes at the end. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, let's see here. Expand is not defined. Cool. That makes sense. I guess ESLint doesn't care. Okay, expand equals require blisp slash expander slash expand. Oh, I'm not giving it an env. Expand. What did I call that? Test env, I think. block. Okay, we need to give test env. Okie doke. Let's see. Test env is not defined. Okay, so we want to require ./ES5. One more time. Body expected type of array, but got object. Okay, well, closer. Okay, so now I'm just gonna run it and break on this exception. Oh. There we go. Cool. So now we need to grab is expression from Babel types. And so is expression arg. So if we, okay, actually, we need to first expand it. Okay, then if is expression, all right, return. All right, so basically what I'm doing here, is I need to check once I've expanded each statement in the block. I need to check to see if it's an expression, and if it is an expression, I need to wrap it in an expression statement. AST node. So we will just check that. If is expression expanded, then we will return expression statement, and that will be expanded. Otherwise, we can just return expanded because it's already a statement. So we will also need to grab expression statement from Babel types. Hey, look at that. Our first built-in. All right. I'm just going to test it with also just kind of completeness. Test it with 2 statements as well. Uh-oh. Oh. Typical. Alrighty. So now that we've got block, we can go back and do function. I think I'm gonna look at my tests helpers. Great. I'm going to describe input on this just to save myself from making mistakes over and over again. Actually, while we're at it, let's do this for block 2. Scribe input. And this guy will be input, and then we can not the string input, but the actual input. Okay, so then that will prevent us from making that mistake that I just made a bunch. This will be input, and that comes in here. Okay, so we're gonna come over here and make this a test function by adding spec. It expands to a function expression. I wonder if Battle has a builder function to turn expressions into expression statements. We can look at that later. Expect, we need const expect from chai. And then we will need function expression, block statement, turn statement. Okay, so actually, let's not do return here. Okay, so oops, describe input. This will be function. Right, okay. All right, so we want to grab function also, const, and oh, we already have that. Okay, we're gonna call function with read our input and test env. We need to import that guy. And this should be a function expression, and oops. Okay, function expression. Identifier foo. I guess we'll need identifier. Okay, we have a function expression. Our identifier is foo. Our parameters is identifier. That will be bar. Then we have our block statement. All right, block statement is going to have a single statement, which will be expression statement with a call expression, and that will be identifier bar, and there you go. All right, so now we need Babel types for call expression and expression statement, comma. And it would help if we type things correctly. Moment of truth. We have a problem. Oh, cannot read block. We have our test env. All right, well, you know what I'm gonna do here is wonder how we should inject our I'm just going to kind of function I'm just going to kind of barrel file my functions and just use that as my env. This is probably going to be kind of painful. Oh, did we ever? Yeah, we did. Okay. Okay, still no dice. Cannot read property block of undefined. Okay, let's jump into function.js. Oh, forgot to pass env. All right, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So basically I have, I just want to do not repeat myself a little bit here. So I've got these two functions that are pretty much the same. So I'm just going to pull out the parameters first. So if it's an identifier, we'll set our ID to first, or it's undefined. And then params is going to be params body syntax dot elements 2 syntax dot elements 3. Otherwise, oh, and close that. Okay, otherwise will be undefined, and it will be, this will be syntax dot elements 1 syntax dot elements 2. All right, let's just make sure that looks right. Okay, so the first, if it's an identifier, then identifier is the first one, syntax elements 2, syntax elements 3, and this guy is 1, undefined 1 and 2. So now we can just do ID params and body, and we can get rid of this. Cool. All right, I'm passing the env. Great. Try that one more time. Great. And so this has come up before. This slow test is actually Babel booting up. The first time you call a builder function, it has to initialize a bunch of stuff. Cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and also make sure that we are testing anonymous functions and that ends up being correct. All right, so bar, and this guy should be undefined. Let's go ahead and run that. And anonymous function expression. Wait, it's not printing. It's not printing the input. How did I mess this up? Let's see here. Describe input. Oh, this should be. Whoops. 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 What did I do? All right. So we want to describe input and callback function. All right, great. All right, I'm going to really quickly jump into my launch.json and, oh, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to put a breakpoint here. So basically we're expanding the first of the syntax elements. And so in the case of the anonymous expression, I assume that that will compile first into a call expression, and then we're going to re-expand them from there. So I just want to see if that's what's happening, just to validate that I understand what's happening. Okay, so that's our first test, and this is our second. Yep, so call expression, and so we could maybe optimize this by reusing the expansion from first, but I think I'm not going to bother with that now. So this is actually pretty interesting. It might not seem like much, but we pretty much just compiled a function definition here. That's pretty cool. So at this point, really all we need to do is go ahead and painfully, oops, where am I? Function. Painfully go through and define macro functions for all of the types of expressions you can write in JavaScript. So this is going to be fun. We'll see if I continue to always stream this. A lot of this is going to be more of the same stuff. So it's a lot of grunt work. Yeah, maybe I'll stick to streaming absolutely everything. I think next time what I would like to do is, now that we've got something happening and we're pretty close to going full on with writing our macro expanders and getting into the actual programming language portion, I think I am going to go back and really rethink how the environment for the expander is set up. I think I would like to start getting on track to implementing the hygienic macro system that I am envisioning. And so I think in the meantime, I'm going to do some more research on how I want to plan that out. And next time we'll come back and see if we can actually implement something for that. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and until next time.